Presidential aide defends Naira, urges action on minimum wage and workers' welfare. Special Advisor to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Economic Affairs, Dr. Tokwe Fasua, has defended the value of the Naira within Nigeria despite its depreciation in the global market. Speaking on a Rise TV morning show, Dr. Fasua argued that the Naira still holds significant purchasing power locally, noting that while $1 may fetch little in the United States, it remains useful in Nigeria. Highlighting poverty as a major challenge in the country, Dr. Fasua emphasized the need for a uniform implementation of the 70,000 naira minimum wage, which he described as a critical tool in addressing economic hardship. He revealed that only 16 states have fully implemented the new wage structure and urged increased pressure on remaining states to comply.
Culturally, the idea is to compare what people buy in one country with what they buy in another. But culturally, people have different choices. There's not amala on the streets in New York, for example. So you have to do something different. So they even have this burger analysis. But only our children eat burgers. I'm not a fan. So the whole idea was to say that indeed, $1 is still valuable in Nigeria. Whereas in a place like New York or in a place like US, you struggle to get anything with it. You struggle indeed. And that's why that analysis came that when we were talking about the issue of poverty, I said, listen, perhaps we need our own indexes beyond the $2 or $2.50 a day that's been recommended. And the fact that those indices are being recommended doesn't mean we should take it hook, line, and sinker, because we know our country, we know our people, we know our culture more than the people recommending. However, that's what the issue now is to say, how are we trying to solve it and how are we trying to ameliorate it, given the fact that there's poverty everywhere in the world. My key concern, actually, why I've made a bit of a media tour, is that, part of the ways we try to solve or reduce the impact of inflation and spiking poverty is to agree on a minimum wage of 70,000. Some of the states have taken it to 80, some 75, some 78, and so on. This morning I was reading in one of the newspapers, I think it's Punch, that indeed only 16 states have actually effected. So, and I think that we need to put the rest under pressure to effect this minimum, because we can't expect people to continue to survive on the same salary that they were earning 2 years ago, given the fact that inflation in some critical goods like food, in some instances, have gone up 100%, 200%.
Dr. Fasua also called out private sector employers, stressing that paying workers below 70,000 naira per month is not only unethical but illegal. He explained that while the presidency directly oversees fewer than 100,000 federal civil servants, the majority, over 2 million, reside and work within the state, making state government pivotal in improving workers' welfare. On the note of security, Dr. Fasua noted a significant decline in insecurity across the world, though he acknowledged occasional incidents, which he described as manageable. He added that no nation is completely crime-free. Addressing social welfare, he maintained that palliative remained essential for vulnerable Nigerians who struggle to afford basic needs.
Even the private sector, because the minimum wage is also binding on the private sector, and that's only one aspect. So therefore, if you see, I've met people who say they're still being paid 40,000 naira for a full-time work. In fact, it is against the law, because there's a law now that says you can't pay someone in full employment, no matter who they are, less than 70,000, and that 70,000 is actually what you pay an intern, and that's why they're paying you coppers 77,000. Have a stakeholder meeting of view of how do we take this forward. You know why? Because President Tinubu, the presidency sitting in Abuja, is responsible for less than 100,000 civil servants. That's less than 100,000 civil servants, okay? And about 2 million people who work for the federal government, whether they were policemen or army or any other, including all those parastatals that seem to have sorted themselves out, they seem to pay so well. I don't have to mention them here. So these 2 million people, let's say 2.5 million people at most. What about the rest of Nigeria? They live in states. They're under the purview of states. So I'm putting the challenge back to the private sector to do right by their people.
The economic advisor concluded by reiterating the government's commitment to both economic reform and citizens' welfare, urging collaboration from all sectors to uplift the nation. Messi Emmanuel, Glasgow Television News.